back to football. High school football specifically kicks off tonight. A slew of big games tonight, a couple big games tomorrow in the afternoon, one of which I'm extremely interested in. And everything we need to know about high school football we can find out from James Allen of the Times-Union. James, first and foremost, you laid low for a few months. Are you ready for no sleep until about next July?
Yeah, I'm ready, guys, no doubt.
So, big games tonight. We've got Shen and Troy. We've got Amsterdam and Burnt Hills. Where are you going to be first and foremost? What's the A game on the schedule?
Well, those are the two games. Those are two of the three games we're covering. But, I mean, obviously, TV-wise, Burnt Hills and Amsterdam is our opener this season. And you got two traditional Class A powers, and Burnt Hills did not make the Super Bowl for the first time in 10 years last year, and they got stunned by Amsterdam in the semifinals at home. Not only did they lose, but they lost pretty handily, 37-7 on their home field, which is a rare thing for Coach Matt Shell. So certainly from a motivational standpoint, Burnt Hills should be quite ready to deal with a very difficult Amsterdam team to play on the road, and certainly Amsterdam wants to prove that last year that even though they graduated a lot of players, that they still a viable force in Class A. So you got two of the better teams in that classification going against each other, and this year they're not in the same division. Burnt Hills moved back to the southeast, so makes it for fun.
Let's hit some of the other classes. You just hit on Class A. Elaborate there. Queensbury also a perennial power in Class A. Let's go to Class AA. Saratoga wins Class AA a year ago. They're taking on Albany tomorrow afternoon in their opener. Saratoga loses Dakota Harvey, the star running back. How do the Blue Streaks shape up in Class AA? Who are they the favorite? Who's their main competitors?
Well, they're definitely not the favorite. They graduated out of those 22 starters they had last year. That 19 of them are gone. They only have one returning starter on offense, two on defense. So they're a team that certainly could still make the playoffs, but they're definitely not the favorite in the Empire Division, and they're not the AA favorite. But it makes for an interesting game because they're playing at Albany. Albany had not won a AA game of any type in almost 10 years. It was 2007 the last time they won a game, and they closed their season with 3 straight wins, and they had two of the better players in the section, and Kyrie Tillery at running back and Jarrell Cheney at wide receiver. So this is a big game certainly for both teams, and Albany would love to be able to get a AA win to start their season and beat the defending champions. So that's a very interesting game tomorrow.
Hey, James, Chris Honorato here. Question kind of off the board here. True or false, we will have all different sectional winners in the 5 classes this year as opposed to a year ago?
It very well could happen, Chris. We prior to last year, we had a run where we had teams that were winning multiple championships. Huzik Falls had won 6 in a row in Class C. They didn't even get to the playoffs last year. You had Chalmont on a run of consecutive Super Bowl appearances. That got snapped last year. You had Saratoga. They graduated almost all their top players. Class C. Greenwich certainly could be a team that could win. Class C is pretty much a wide-open class, and then you have Whitehall won the D championship. They graduated a ton of their players. They're still one of the top teams in the D. There's no guarantee they're going to win. So, yeah, you very well could have 5 new sectional champions this year, and I think it's going to make for a very interesting season, guys, because this is one of the years where you look in every classification. There really isn't a lot of top players coming back. Two particular teams. There are a few teams that have more than half their starters back, but a lot of them don't have a ton of seniors. Where, you looked at last year at Schuylerville, and their entire team was all seniors, and they've been 3-year starters. There's just not a team like that in any of our classifications, which is going to make things wide open.
Brady Farkas, Chris Honorato, live at Saratoga. Here the final weekend of the Saratoga Racing Meet. First weekend of high school football, so we were talking about that with the Times-Union's James Allen. And James, Roger and I have talked a lot about this within the last few weeks. If you look at Section 2, baseball, basketball, lacrosse, there's marquee prospects coming out of all of those sports. Football has been a lot more limited. Kind of speak, what's the state of Section 2 football like in terms of players going to the next level? Why has it been a little slower than those other sports?
Well, Brady, the other thing is, really, it's something that's throughout New York State. I mean, annually, there's less than 20. There's been a few years in the last 10 that we've had over 20 1A state, Division 1A prospects throughout the entire state, and that includes New York City, Long Island, the Buffalo area with the Catholic schools. There's just not a lot of 1A players, and it's tied into a lot of different factors. It's not that there isn't talent, because there's certainly talent in other sports. It's opportunity. New York State only plays 7 regular season games, so least amount of regular season games played in the United States. That's every state. So you don't have the summer football, you don't have spring, you don't have practices. There's a lot more limitations for players. There's less opportunities. I'll give you an example too quickly. 2010, Troy makes a run. Last time they were in AA, they get to the state final. Jordan Canzeri, at that point, going to the state final, looked like he was going to go to Villanova. And it was a 1AA team. It was a good, playoff team, but not an option in a 1A. He gets 3 tapes, from the state playoff games. Does really well. All of a sudden, Division I schools come out. They hadn't seen him. They didn't know anything about him. And the opportunities are far less prevalent in football than in their sport. There's no summer circuit for football players to be, at like AAU or travel baseball or travel lacrosse. There's just not that many opportunities. So it's a situation that New York State's playing from behind.
James, one more from me. When we talk to you again in 2 or 3 months' time, I know this is difficult to pinpoint one guy, but give me one guy we're all just going to kind of go, whoa, where did he come from? Or, man, he was a lot better than we would have ever thought.
Well, I think there's a couple players, and I mentioned them, that they're 2 of the bigger prospects going into the season, and those are the guys from Albany. Tyler Tillery and Jarrell Cheney were both first-team all-area players on my teams last year as juniors. Cheney had over 800 yards receiving on a team that only threw for about 1,100 yards, so he did a little bulk of the work. And Tillery, is a guy that I think is going to get a lot of attention. And the better season that they have, if they somehow maybe make the playoffs, which they haven't done since 2005, or if they're at least viable, the senior all-star game will help. They've done a lot of camps. They've certainly made a lot of attention, but we don't have as many like last year, for instance, guys. Shaker had 3 Division 1A players, or 3 Division I players going into the season. We already knew they were committed. There's nobody like that this year. There are a few guys that could potentially put themselves in that position. I'm sure that if John Germanario was 3 or 4 inches taller, he'd get a lot of looks too. But at 5'9", 5'10", there's not many quarterbacks that are going to get a lot of looks at that, no matter how good they are. But he's certainly a guy to keep an eye on too. He had 450 yards passing in the Class A Super Bowl last year. He's definitely a talent as well.
James Allen of the Times Union breaking down high school football. Season starts tonight. First weekend is this weekend. A lot of great games across all classes. James is going to be Amsterdam and Burnt Hills getting ready for that game in Class A. James, I'll get you out of here on this. We talked about Albany. Coach DiPiazza there takes over the program. As you said, they haven't won a game in Class AA since 2007. I kind of put it, I said, look, I think this team can win 4 games this year. 4 games I think they can win this year. I do think they can win more than that and get to the playoffs.
Well, it's going to be interesting, guys, because, Brady, this is a situation, AA, especially Empire Division. I wrote about it today. I think it's wide open. You look at the teams in the traditional powers, the Shen. They don't have anybody that started every game last year back. Gilderland had a good team. They lost some significant players. They're certainly a team to watch. CBA didn't make the playoffs, but they've got their starting backfield, and they've got a quarterback in Max Jones that I think is going to have a nice year on offense as well. But this game Saturday, if they can pull off the win against Saratoga, not only does it give them their first regular season win in AA in quite some time, almost 10 years, it's a situation where it puts them in the discussion for maybe making the playoffs. And that's something that just hasn't happened since Joe Burke was coaching there and Deion Lewis was playing in the backfield for Albany. So they certainly created a lot of excitement. And even if they don't make the playoffs, the program's certainly going in the right direction very, very quickly. And they added Mike Simpson from former UAlbany defensive coordinator to take over that. And I think that's going to pay dividends as the season goes on as well.
Well, Coach DiPiazza will be a guest tomorrow on Capital Region Sports Saturday at 9:05, getting ready for that game with Saratoga. On the phone with us now, James Allen of the Times Union. James, again, opening weekend high school football. Enjoy tonight and enjoy the next 7-8 months because you're not going to be able to do a whole lot of anything else. So we're glad you love what you do.
I appreciate it, guys. And, you know, I was kidding with Roger when I was talking to him last week. I said, geez, you know, when we get to the end of the month, guys, the end of September will be the end of week 5 of football. We'll be going into week 6. And then, you know, we're just sitting here talking about preseason. And before you know it, we're going to be talking about the end of the regular season. It goes by very, very fast.
Exactly.
It's crazy how fast it does go. James Allen, enjoy again tonight. Thanks for the time on Big Board Sports.
You got it, guys. Take care.